This episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast is sponsored by the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. As a woman in the modern world, our hormones are taking a battering. They're impacted by the food we eat, the toxins we're exposed to, such as when we eat out of plastic takeaway containers, or even worse, reheat food in them. Please don't do this. If you're handling EFTPOS receipts, filling the car with fuel, eating non-organic produce that hasn't been washed effectively, plus so much more things add to our toxic load every day. Even though our bodies are designed to effectively manage toxins, they haven't evolved as quickly as our toxic world has, unfortunately. So our body does need support. Symptoms such as stubborn weight gain, fatigue, disrupted periods, irritability, and gut health issues can be a sign that you'd benefit from a gentle detox. And that's why I developed the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. This free guide has an abundance of information to get you started on your very own DIY detox. And if you'd like to upgrade to VIP, it's only $47 for a limited time. I used to sell this program for $247. The upgrade gives you the recipes, including plenty of plant-based options, the meal planner, the shopping list template, the video workshop, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more now. Take care of your hormones. They are a critical part of your health as a woman. Hi, I'm Susie Garden, and this is the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm an age-defying naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to bust myths around women's health and aging so that you can be ageless and awesome in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. The Ageless and Awesome podcast is dedicated to helping women through perimenopause and menopause with great health, a positive mindset, and outrageous confidence. Hit subscribe or follow now, and let's get started. Hi, gorgeous one, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about movement. I thought to myself, I haven't really talked about this a lot. I talk a lot about nutrition. I talk a lot about mindset. I talk a lot about building stress resilience. But one of the other pillars of my GLOW protocol is actually movement. And that's for several reasons. Like, obviously, as you know, I do have somewhat of a focus on hormone balancing and on, hormone balancing of perimenopause and menopause, although I do actually see younger clients as well. And I also have a big passion for people attaining their ideal weight. So I wanted to talk about movement in both of those sort of contexts. And may I just start with a disclaimer? I am not an exercise physiologist. I am not a PT. I am a qualified yoga instructor, and I am not providing individual advice, okay? This is general advice, and if you're someone that doesn't really do a lot of movement, you probably need to discuss that with your medical practitioner or a fitness type of professional to get something that is the right kind of movement for your body. Now, let's see, where do I start? There's a few things I want to start with. Firstly, you will notice that I use the word movement, and that is quite intentional. I will rarely use the word exercise because often that has some connotations to it, some baggage perhaps, that for many women in particular, and myself included, it's a real turnoff. And also exercise tends to suggest, I know for me in my mind, when I think about exercise, I'm thinking of activewear, and I'm thinking of being in a organized environment like a gym or something similar to that. Whereas movement can happen anywhere. Movement can mean many, many things. And to be honest, just moving your body, even if it's just when you're walking around a shopping center doing your grocery shop, that is beneficial to your body. So I prefer to use the word movement for a number of reasons. And because it tends to, it's not just covering exercise in inverted commas. It's also covering things like dancing, like, bushwalking, swimming in the ocean, that kind of stuff that's not structured and not with a goal of getting your heart rate to a certain level or burning X number of calories or whatever that might mean. So what are the best types of movement for women in their 40s and 50s? Well, there's a few different types. There's not just one type. And I think the most important thing is finding movement that you love, because then you will actually do it. And what I always encourage my clients to do is really look at what they enjoy doing. For some people, just walking down to their letterbox is a challenge. Perhaps they have body pain. Perhaps they have it's a mindset thing to walk. So it really starts with, what do I love to do? What do I love to do? And it might be something like dancing in your living room. It might be yoga. It might be doing some stretches, or it might be walking your dog or playing with your dog, playing with your kids. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different movement types that can be really beneficial. But if you're really looking to get good fat burning, then you need to look at what your heart rate is doing, because there's actually a really specific calculation, which is very cool, because you can actually then work out what is the heart rate I need to be getting to in order to best burn fat. So let's look at this. So I think most people know there's a calculation for your maximum heart rate, and that's based on your age. So what that is I'm going to throw a whole bunch of numbers at you, so you might want to write this down. So 220 minus your age. So if you are, say, 50, just to make it easy, if you're 50, your maximum heart rate, and this is for the, an average person. Obviously, if you're an elite athlete or something like that, there may be different numbers. I'm not across that. But just for the average person, 220 minus your age. So if you're 50, that would be 170. That is the maximum heart rate that is considered safe for you to get to. Now, to get to your fat burning heart rate, we do a little percentage of that. So whatever if we take the 50-year-old example, so your maximum heart rate is 170. Now, your fat burning heart rate is between 70 to 80% of 170. Okay, so it's between 70 to 80% of your maximum recommended heart rate. And for someone who's 50, that will be 119 to 136 beats per minute. And getting it into that range for around half an hour is what the science tells us will give you like an amazing fat burning experience. Now, if you don't have a heart rate monitor, or you don't, tend to wear one, the best way to assess yourself if you're in the fat burning zone without taking your pulse is to be, let's say, moving. And I'm going to use the example of walking at a pace where you could only just hold a conversation. All right, that is a really good way to kind of guesstimate that you're in the fat burning zone, okay? So whether that's moving on a dance floor, dancing in your living room, I know I use that example a lot, but it's because I love it, because most people can do it and it's a lot of fun. Even if you're seated, just even moving your arms up and down, or moving your body from side to side, that kind of thing, if you do have body pain, then that can be really helpful as well. So yeah, getting that fat burning heart rate, 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate, and your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. So you've actually got a number now that you can measure. And if you do have like one of those smartwatches or a heart rate monitor, you now know what your goal is. And if you don't have any of those devices and you want to take your pulse rate manually, the easiest way to do it is you can either take 2 fingers and find your carotid artery, which is next to your windpipe. So if you start at your windpipe and then you move around about 2 to 3 centimeters to either side, you should be able to find your carotid. It's pretty easy to find. And if you took your heart rate over either 15 seconds or 30 seconds, then if you took it over 15 seconds, you multiply that by 4, that will give you your beats per minute. If you are measuring 30 seconds, and you would double that, and that gives you your beats per minute. And then you can compare that to what your fat burning heart rate should be. All right. So now that we've got the numbers and that bit of science out of the way, I want to talk about the type of movement that's really good, because yes, that movement that I've already described is awesome. And for me, like walking my dog is just a massive joyful part of my movement kind of strategies, and that's just a lot of fun for me. But and I also love to dance. I dance in my office a lot to get my energy up. I also, if I'm going somewhere where there is an option to dance, I'll always try to, just because I know that that's really helpful as well, but also because I love it. So yeah, when you find movement you love, it's really easy to find opportunities for it. And the other thing I want to talk about, was a few things actually, is muscle retention. You may have heard me talk about this before. So as we get over 40, our ability to build new muscle really starts to slow down. And so you need to maintain as much as you can. So for many reasons. One is just aesthetically, it helps with your structure. So if we're looking at, wanting to look good as we get older, maintaining your muscle mass really helps with providing that body structure. I hope that's making sense. And also it allows you to burn more fat or more energy rather at rest. So it raises what we call your basal metabolic rate. So you're burning more energy at rest. And also it helps with your bone health as well. Strong muscles, strong bones. And so the kind of exercise that's brilliant for maintaining muscle mass is resistance training. And I wholeheartedly believe that every woman over 40 needs to be doing an element of resistance training. Now, again, that doesn't mean you have to go to a gym. You can do this using heavy things that you have at home to help build up the strength. And what we're looking for is to safely be lifting things that engage your quads, so that's the front of your thighs, your hamstrings, which is at the back of your thighs, your glutes, which is your butt, and your core. And ideally, you would have some sort of professional advice around that. And I'm certainly not going to provide that advice, because one of my background jobs was working in occupational health nursing at an industrial site, and lifting training was huge. And even as a nurse, we were all taught how to lift people safely, because it's very easy to injure yourself if you don't use the right technique. So if you don't know what the technique is, please get some professional advice. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to find stuff on YouTube. Make sure if you're looking at stuff on YouTube, it is with someone who actually has some qualifications and knowledge. Otherwise, it's really easy to go and get a one-off session with a personal trainer that can help give you some techniques so that you remain safe, so that you don't hurt yourself. Because if you hurt yourself, that means you can't move for a little while, and that's just going to set you back, and it's not great for your mindset either. So that's really important. So resistance training is really key for, as I said, your overall health, your ability to maintain also your gross and fine motor skills. And as we get older, as you probably know, as people get older and older, they can be more prone to falling. And a lot of that is because their muscle mass isn't great. And so their strength and their ability to hold themselves up, particularly in a more challenging environment, is not great. So if you can keep your muscle mass, it will mean you're less likely to fall. It means that you will have healthier bones and just a better quality of life, because you'll be able to continue moving. I also highly recommend things like cycling is really good, because it's really low impact. I'm someone that has chronic neck and shoulder issues, and my hips get sore if I do exercise. This is all from my nursing days. And so I've always been really averse to any sort of high impact exercise. So cycling is fantastic for me because there is no impact. It's awesome. And it's also great because it just gets you out into nature and is really I don't know, there's just something about it that I absolutely love. So cycling is great. And also swimming is awesome, again, for the same kind of reason, is that your body is supported. So particularly if you are carrying some extra weight or you do have an inflammatory joint disease like rheumatoid arthritis or something like that, then any kind of movement where you've got support, such as the water, is going to be really helpful for you and really help you to build and maintain your muscle. I also really, really love yoga for many, many reasons. For a start, it's great for balance. It is great for core. It is great for building new neural pathways. It's great for stress management. If you're doing yoga in a properly, then you are engaging your muscles appropriately and you are very much in the moment. It's very difficult to think about other things when you are doing yoga. You really do need to focus. And what I love specifically about yoga is that mind-body-breath connection. So it is fantastic. And again, it's something that no matter what you've got going on in your body, you can do yoga. You can. You just need to find the right kind of class. So, that's probably the main things I wanted to cover off today. So just in summary, finding movement that you love so that you can commit to it, so that if you can move yourself every single day, that's going to be brilliant. And particularly if it makes you happy. Working out what your fat burning heart rate is and making sure you're incorporating some of that fat burning movement into your day or your week, particularly if you're wanting to manage weight loss. Also, resistance training, keeping that muscle mass because it's really good for your bones as well, and maybe popping in some yoga there. I know there are some people that don't love yoga. I have friends that don't love yoga, and that's all good. You just find something that you love. I think that's what I covered. So I hope that's been helpful. And the main message I wanted to get across is you don't have to flog yourself in order to get to a point where you can lose weight successfully. And as I always tell my clients, and any good PT will also tell you, it is 80% food and 20% movement if we're looking at weight loss specifically. So if you get the diet right, you will lose weight. Okay, you've got 80% of the job done. And I find there are a lot of clients that I work with that are either too busy to exercise or they have other medical conditions which prevent them. And therefore diet is extremely effective if it's done well. So I hope that's been helpful. Let me know. Let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover. Enjoy the rest of your week and I'll see you on Thursday for Q&A. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Ageless and Awesome podcast. If you liked today's episode, please make sure you click the little plus button if you're on Apple Podcasts or the follow button if you're on Spotify so that you get each new episode delivered to you every week. If you like free stuff, then head to the show notes and click the link to receive my free Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for perimenopausal women. Or if you'd like to continue the discussion, head over to Instagram and DM me at Susie Garden Wellness. I'd love to connect with you.